So now that we've built the game board, we've built the deck, we've shuffled the deck, let's adding the button clickers. So we'll create another function. And this is just a series of commands here that we're going to have that are going to do all of the functionality for the game. So add clicker. And it's going to add the ability to click on the buttons. And we already have all of the buttons created, and we have them as objects within the game object. So now it's just a matter of connecting to those buttons and adding the functionality that we want. So let's create a bunch of functions that are going to add the functionality for clicking. So first we've got the button btn deal object and add event listener. The event listener that we're adding for, so we're going to listen for a click on that object, and that's going to initiate the function called deal. And we can create that function for that. So just function deal. And we can do the same thing for the other buttons, where we can add in all the different functionality that we want. So we had another button that was button stand. So making all of the buttons playable. How about we call this one player stand? And let's do a few other buttons. We've got button hit. And these, of course, are a very crucial part to playing the game, where we want the player to have the ability to interact with what's happening on the screen. So player next card, and then let's save that. So we need to create the functions in order to handle that. So we don't have functions for player stand and for next card. That's where we're throwing the error. So player stand, and these will just be kind of like placeholder functions as we're building this to come back to later on. So save it, and no more error. So that means that we're ready to continue to build this. So what we want it to do is be able to deal out the cards. And so let's start building what we need for deal, and move this up a bit so it's easier to see. So tab, and coming in, let's clear out whatever might be within the dealer hand. So we'll build out a dealer hand object, and this is whatever the contents of the dealer hand is going to be, and player hand. So this will allow us to continue and build another round into the game, where we're going to be able to clear whatever the existing hands are and take additional cards. I'm going to also create one that's called game start. So that means that the game is in play and no more betting, closing off the betting, and that sort of thing. So give us the ability to kind of turn and disable things. And then the game, there's the player cards. So let's update the inner HTML. And for now, we'll just put deal. And we're going to update this obviously with cards later on. And same for the dealer hands. So deal. So let's see what happens. So refresh, deal, and we get the contents being updated. So you see that the contents are updating within the play area. So we need to add in cards in there, and we need to play the whole gameplay effect. So we also need to disable the ability for hit and stand. And we also need to disable those buttons by default. So we're going to have another function that we're going to set up in the next lesson, which is going to be able to toggle some of these buttons to have the right gameplay. Because we don't want the player to be able to come in and hit to bet, hit, and stand when they have no cards being output yet. So that's all going to come in the upcoming lessons. So go ahead and add in the ability to deal. Make sure that your deal button is working and running. And you can also check the hit and stand. You can add in a console message whenever these buttons get clicked for the actions to make sure that you've got the actions and that they're ready to go. And you can be ready to move on to the next lesson, where we're going to disable the buttons that aren't in play and that aren't available to the player.